empowerment in academics, entrepreneurship, sports, marginalized youth, and more. Tune in every Thursday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Youth Month 2022. Devant ensemble et toute jeunesse. Evolve. Growing youth for an inclusive and transformed society. Are you ready? When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. So when the evening comes, I lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah, as far as I can. I can, yeah. My two hands in the air as far as I can.
Good afternoon to everyone, our listeners, and to those of you viewing us online. Of course, we are back with another episode of You Voices. I would like to apologize for our late start this afternoon. Unfortunately, our guest was running late. I guess he would be explaining that to you guys later. However, of course, I am graced with the presence of Mr. Nehemiah Thenjan this afternoon, Mr. Nehemiah A. Thenjan.
Thank you.
And yes, he is the facilities manager for SUFRA. And so, good afternoon to you, Mr. Thenjan.
Good afternoon, listeners in Radio Land. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My apologies, I am late, but we have to get in the business of celebrating our young sports heroes when they do very well. My reason for being late is because Mr. Kevin Gassi just got back on island and he just got into Soufrière. So we were trying to see if we can make him feel the love and how proud we are of him by meeting up with him and showing him that we appreciate the fact that he went to represent St. Lucia at the under-19 tournament and won that tournament with St. Lucia. Immediately after that, he went to Trinidad to represent the Windward Islands and won the Windward Island tournament. We won the West Indies tournament with the Windward Islands as well. So he won 2 titles back to back in less than a month. So we wanted to show him some love. So I hope you all can excuse me for being late. I hope that's a good enough reason for being late here.
I'm hoping that as well. But of course, we are getting right into our discussion with Mr. Senja since we are running late. And since it started on the line of cricket, of course, I will begin with that as well. And to you, Mr. Senja, I know you were directly involved with the cricket team who recently represented in the T20 Blast. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? And I believe you served as the manager of that team.
The coach.
Sorry. And so, what was that experience like?
I have been with the Soufrière cricket team from inception of the Dream T10 Dream 11 T10 Blast. It's a T10, not a T20 actually.
Okay.
So this is the 3rd year that it has been here. I have served as the coach twice and as the manager once. This time, the first year I was the manager, and the last 2 years I served as the coach of the Soufrière cricket team. Good experience for me. The first year we really did struggle. Again, everyone knows that we did not have a playing facility and we didn't have training grounds. But that was no reason to make excuses. The following year we tried to do some work on courts and wherever we could have. This year we really, the mindset of the players were really, really positive, and we really did try. We got to the semifinals. We had that semifinals in our hands, and unfortunately it slipped away. But we were able to place third after struggling a bit um, the previous 2 seasons. But this year we were able to place third overall in that tournament. So it was a very good outing for Soufriere, and we're hoping that they can do better next year, because I have some wonderful news when we get into facilities for cricketers. So I have some wonderful news on that.
Okay, so thank you so much for sharing some light on that. And of course, continuing with the cricket conversation, um, would you say that this experience or this journey with the cricketers was a difficult one?
I wouldn't say it was difficult, because the truth is I have been in and around cricket for a very long time. I remember, was it 2015? I think it was, when we won every form of cricket there was in Saint Lucia. The 2 day, the 50 overs. We won all cricket. Um, Although I was not directly involved with the technical aspect of the team, but I was there. I followed the team. I always traveled with them. I was always around them up until now. I mean, every game that I can attend, even when I am not on the technical team, I still try to make it and still try to attend. So it was not difficult working with them, because it was not like I was a stranger to them or a stranger to cricket. I have
Okay,
been around cricket. In terms of coaching, I have coached just about every single sport there is in Soufriere. I was the head
okay,
coach for the Soufriere netball team, the head coach for the Soufriere athletics team. I am currently the head coach for the Soufriere Black Hat football team. I have coached just about every sport you can think of in Soufriere. So coaching is not new to me. It's something that I have always been involved in. So I wouldn't say it was difficult. And again, with the talent that we have on the Soufriere cricket team, that made the coach's job even a little easier, because we have quite a bit of talent and quite a bit of experienced players who can lend a voice and an input in making decisions that would be best for moving the team forward.
okay. Thank you again. And I just want to take some time to big up the cricketers. Of course, you mentioned that they came in third in that tournament. And of course, just to remind them that we are proud of their efforts. Of course, we were able to capture a third place trophy, which is very much appreciated. And you mentioned that you have been coaching different sporting areas. Are you qualified in all of these areas?
Yes, I am. I have done certificates in every sport. For track and fields, I have a level 1 coaching certificate in
Okay.
track and fields. I have a D license in football. D license is With a D license, I can coach just about anywhere in the Caribbean, basically.
Okay.
So I have a D license in coaching cricket. I did netball coaching courses. I also did netball officiating courses as well. I can referee and score netball. Scoring netball is difficult, but I did workshops in that. Table tennis, I did a table tennis coaching course as well. So I have done quite a bit of coaching courses, and I am a certified personal trainer as well. So yes, you cannot love something and not try to get yourself certified or qualified in the field.
Mhm.
So every opportunity I get, I try to do a new course or something to do with a sport, or even just learning to teach a new sport. I try to get involved in it.
Okay. So thank you so much for that information, Mr. Sencha. And of course, right now we are going to switch it up a little where we are getting into more details about who are you, what do you do. So putting aside everything that you have mentioned, on a normal day, who is Nehemiah Senja?
Um, on a normal day, you see that's the sad. On a normal day, let me just say that I'm a dad. I'm a dad, a husband, a son. You know, I the difficulty that people like me have is a normal day for me is still everything that I just spoke to you about.
Mm-hmm.
A normal day for me is being involved in everything to do with youth and sports. It's part of me. It's who I am. No matter which sport, no matter what it is, as long as it's in the benefit of sportsmen and sportswomen in Sufra, you will see me there. You will see me involved in it. You will see me around it. So a normal day for me is being a dad, but sports will always be a part of me. It's always my thing. You know, many times you say, you know, this has too much drama, there's too much roar, there's too much going on with this, and you're just going to take a back seat. It comes right back around, and you still end up being part of it because the honest truth, it is part of me.
Okay, so of course you just tied in everything, and so now of course we know that you go by the title of facilities manager. I mean that might be the first time a lot of persons are getting to know that you carry this title, and so mind telling us how it was fitting into this role.
All right, I am the sports facility manager for Sufre, um, with the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports. This is nothing new to me. Like I said, I have always been in and around sports and everything to do with sporting activities. I have served on the stadium committee on three occasions before. And one time, the last stadium committee, I was the chairman of the stadium committee. The last time there was a stadium committee when the deceased Simon Mondes, he was the manager. But with the new facility management policy that the Ministry of Youth and Sports are adopting, they want to move away from not having accountability when it comes to managing facilities. Because when people volunteer to do these things, there's no accountability and things usually go haywire, as we have seen in the past happening with a lot of facilities. So, if the Ministry of Youth and Sports wanting to get people who will manage the facility um, with them, or should I say for them, um, since I was the last chairman of the facility, I know the facility inside out. I'm there every single day. Every single day I am there. Even when I was not the facility manager, or I was not on the stadium committee, I am still at the facility almost every single day, if not every day. So it was a smooth transition for me. It was business as usual because I have been there. I've served on it. I've volunteered on the committee 3 times, and now I am the facility manager for the sports facilities in Sufre through the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports.
Okay, thanks for that insight. And so you mentioned that you are at the facility, well, the mini stadium every day, right? And so I just want you to let our listeners know what your job entails.
Well, my job basically is managing the facility. I have 3 security officers at the stadium. My job is to ensure that they do what they are hired to do, ensure that they are at work, ensure that they're doing, the things that security are allowed to do. I assist them on days when they may be running late or cannot come to work. I hold on at the facility for them. Um, the day-to-day running of the facility, ensure that the electricity, the water, these things are always taken care of. Um, ensure that the facility remains clean, because we have to remember that the facility is there to serve the community. So we need to ensure that it's always clean when the community comes in. Usually, the busy period at the facility is between 4 and 6:47. So between that time, we want to make sure that when people come in at 4, that the facility is of a good condition, that people can come and recreate, not just play sport, but general recreation at the facility. So my job is to ensure the smooth running of the facility, ensure that bills are paid, ensure that the stadium is up and running and can maintain itself.
Okay. And of course, I like that. However, you mentioned that you have three securities, right? And I know in the past we've had a security issue with the stadium, and I will give you a little more detail where we have heard of different activities, sexual activities taking place at that facility. Not saying that the securities are not good, but have you ever thought of providing proper training for these securities over the years?
Well, we have had, when I was the chairman of the stadium committee, we have had some training, but back when I was the chairman, two of the officers that are there now were not employed with the facility.
Okay.
So we have at least two officers who are reasonably new. When I say new, we're looking at they've been there for about 5 years or so. So we have two officers that are reasonably new. I have contacted. There's a lot of things that we need to train them in. One of the basic things I felt like security needed to do is first aid. So I have spoken to Mr. Henry, Irenaeus Henry,
Okay.
and I'm just awaiting for him to
Confirm.
confirm a date
Okay.
that we could start some sort of first aid training for security, because they are there all the time. If something was to happen to somebody, we would want a situation where they have a basic idea of what to do to ensure that that person um, does not get hurt even more, or even to keep them alive until maybe the ambulance gets to the facility. So they need training in first aid, in my opinion. Um, I think they need to know their role and know that they have more power. Some of them does not realize the power that they have.
Okay.
We have a serious problem with fighting at the stadium, and it's not even the grown people. It's usually the kids between the ages of say 7, 8 to about 16, 17. There's a fight almost every day religiously at the facility. Day before, I had to confiscate a penknife from
Wow.
one of them who he was running after another little boy with a knife after this repute, and I had to have security put him out and put him on a ban. He's not allowed at the facility until further notice.
Okay.
So we have to. Some of the securities don't understand their role, and that's something that we definitely have to do. Make them understand how important their role is and how much power they do have, because they're the ones who's supposed to not just protect the facility. They're the ones who's supposed to ensure that the users of the facility are safe as well. And if they deem anybody is not going to comply to the rules and regulations of the facility, and not just the facility, but generally the laws of the land, then you have the power and the right to escort them out. And if they don't want to go, then you have the right to call the police, because the police, I have had a conversation with the police on the importance of their responding in a timely manner when security calls on them. So those are the little things that we have to work on with the security at the Sufre Mini Stadium, but we're getting there slowly.
Okay. So thanks again for that. And of course, you have mentioned that, of course, training will be provided, right? And I'm hoping that security will be improved at the stadium. I think this is something that is very serious and needs to be put in place.
Yes, yes.
Another question for me would be, um, in terms of emergencies, let's say, for example, we have an athlete who's training and they maybe fell, they fainted, or something where very serious, where blood is now out. Would you say that you guys are equipped in order to assist before the ambulance gets there?
All right. For me, I am first aid certified. I did my first aid certification, and I did it a few years ago. So I think I know the most basic things to do um, in case of many different injuries, be, to help someone if before the ambulance gets there. In terms of security, I don't think they have any form of training. That's why, like I said, I'm just awaiting Mr. Henry to confirm a day
Okay.
that I can give them that training. But in terms of equipment, we have quite a bit of equipment. When I started on the 1st of November, that's one thing I ensured. I started work on the 1st of November, and as we speak right now, I have two spine boards at the facility.
Okay.
One of them have a full neck brace. I have two very big first aid kits at the facility. One in my office and one in the security's lounge.
Okay.
So there's well two first aid kits with basically everything you would need for basic first aid in there.
Okay, great.
So there is equipment there in there to help them out. The other issue I had when I came in, there was no telephone. The telephone was disconnected a long time ago, and it remained. So security are there with no telephone allowance, and if something was to happen, like you said, an athlete got injured or fell or something, they have no means of calling, whether it be ambulance or the police. So one of the first things I did was to ensure that the phone was reconnected and that the security has telephone in the facility that they could call the ambulance or the police in case something serious happens at the facility.
Okay, again, thank you for that. And of course, you mentioned a few of the equipment that you have in stock, and I'm hoping that you would be able to receive the assistance that you need with the first aid program in order for everything to go smoothly and for us to be not just equipped with the equipment, but with the knowledge as well as to how to use them. Um, a very quick question before I go to facilities. In terms of you being the facilities manager, we have focused mainly on Soufre. Are you the facilities manager both for Soufre, for St. Jacques?
Yeah. Well, I was coming to that. I am the sports facilities manager for every sporting facility in Soufre and environs.
Okay.
So basically, I am supposed to be managing the Soufre Mini Stadium, the Soufre basketball court, the Fonse Jacques field, the Fonse Jacques playing field, and as it is, the lands where the Soufre cricket ground was supposed to be, that's the Ruby's lands. Those were acquired for the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So as it is right now, it's supposed to be under the thing of the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So there as well, but there's nothing happening there. There's nothing there, and it's almost impossible to put that cricket grounds that was spoken about.
Yeah, we'll come into that
over there.
Yeah.
But as it is right now, it's supposed to be the Super Mini Stadium, the basketball court, the Fosse Jacques field, and the Fosse Jacques court as well.
Okay, thank you. And of course, since you mentioned the Fosse Jacques field, I know right now we have a Walaba going on, and before that, this field wasn't up to date, where it wasn't as neat as the Soufre mini stadium's field. In the future, do you have plans to ensure that this field is kept as it should be?
Well, I have been in conversations. You see, even if I am appointed by the Ministry of Youth and Sports as the facility manager, you have to respect certain committees in certain areas and certain people who have always been around.
Okay.
Even if I am the manager for the facility, I'm not going to step in and just push everybody out of the way and basically pretend like I'm the one who's in charge of everything. I have been in conversations with the president of the Fosse Jacques Sports Club. I have been in conversation with not only her but other people in the community that has been directly involved with the field and with sports in Fosse Jacques.
Okay.
So we are working together to see what would be the best ways to not only keep Fosse Jacques all well and good, but to ensure that they have a facility that is of good condition. The lights at Fosse Jacques were installed and never used. We actually turned it on for the usage of that Walaba in Fosse Jacques for the first time. So we did use those lights for the first time in Fonse Jacques. Um, I did speak to her about getting somebody that would be, and not only to her, but to the Super Town Council as well. The Town Council is responsible for Fossejak as well. So, me being a councillor on the board of councillors at the Super Town Council, we are trying to see how we can assign people to not only clean and take care of Sufre, but Fossejak as well. So all these little things are being looked at, and we are looking into ensuring that the field in Fossejak it remains clean and remain in a condition that players can play on.
Okay. And of course, again, thank you for that insight because a lot of the times, we focused, we said, yes, we were appointed. However, persons forget that there is force in Jack. And it's nice that you're already networking and collaborating with the club up there in order to ensure that the work is being done well.
Even if not to cut you short, even before I spoke to them, um, I mean, if you look at the Fonseca court, it's in a deplorable state. It's really, really bad. It's almost like it was forgotten. I have gotten quotations to refurbish that court. So through the Ministry of Youth and Sports, hopefully, and other sponsors, we should start work on that court, hopefully as soon as next week. Because the Fossejak, Vern Alexander is doing a wonderful program, netball program at Fossejak, and she plans on having a festival in Fossejak sometime in August, at the ending of August. So we need to get that Fossejak court in a condition that it's playable, so that we could see the young netballers up there in their netball festival. So I have already started preparing to renovate the Fossejak club even long before Ferry and the new executive came in, because again, Fossejak is part of Soufrière, and we have produced quite a bit of athletes in every sport from Fossejak. So we need to give them a realistic opportunity to show their talent as well.
Okay. And of course, again, thank you for that insight. And I love to hear that you guys have been in conversation. And one quick question again. Does anybody have access to all of the facilities in Soufrière? Meaning, can anyone just go onto the playing field or go onto the court in Fort St. Jacques, wherever it is?
Well, it's a public facility. People have the right to use public facilities, unless if they vandalizing, sorry, or fighting violence and that kind of thing, then you call the police. But it's a public facility, and the public has the public should always have access to the facility, unless the people who are in charge of the facility deem that there's going to be vandalism, and we need to then protect the property of the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So generally, yes, the public has access to those facilities.
Okay. And of course, you have mentioned a few of your management plans about security and how you wish to move forward. However, are there any other management plans that you wish to highlight?
Um, what I have started working on, and again, I want the facility to be able to pay for a lot of its own stuff, because our facility is one that is requested for a lot of things, not only sporting activities, but um, social events as well. And we want to be able to rent it out for social events. But when I came in, I didn't think that we were ready to rent it out. I have gotten some applications that I have declined, because at our staff meeting at the ministry, I made the ministry understand that, listen, we have not done any risk assessment. We have not sat and take a look at the risk of having those events at the facility. So until we can sit and look at how we can make, because you cannot not have these social events at the facility.
Yeah.
These things, that's what will pay a lot of your bills and help you get through a lot of the renovations at this facility. So you have to have those events. But we wanted to make sure that we are ready, that sportsmen and sportswomen don't get the short end of the stick when there is those social activities at the facility. Another thing I'm working on, especially at the mini stadium, is cameras. What I have planned to do is to put in surveillance cameras, at least 6 of them for now. That would help in identifying and even preventing people from doing a lot of the activities that they are doing at the facility. So we are definitely going to put in some surveillance cameras inside of there as well. The court, the basketball court in Sufred, the gate, one of the gates are down. We are going to put it up again. There is a basketball committee who have been taking care of the basketball court. The plan is not to step in and just get rid of them, but to work with them in ensuring, because they have always paid their bills, always try to keep the court going. I still send workers over there to clean because I realize they don't clean it as often as they should. But again, I send workers over there to clean the basketball court and ensure that there's not much vandalism. There's some work to be done over there as well, but we are trying to do them one facility at a time, and then we'll get to the basketball court eventually to put up the gate that is down, and the lights room has a door that's not too good, so we want to replace that door and ensure that everything inside of there is safe.
Okay, and thank you again for that. And I'm hoping that all of these plans go well. And I'm looking forward to seeing, of course, our facilities being very much well developed in order for our athletes in the community to be able to take advantage of them. And so, of course, to those of you just joining us, I just want to remind you that we are in conversation with Mr. Nehemiah A. Senja, who is our facilities manager. And so we have been talking about his job, what he has been doing, and what he continues to do. And of course, we are getting down with our time. However, I just want to run through some quick questions about our facilities. I realize that there is a billboard stating that we have a cricket net project starting off. I realized too it has been sponsored by National Lotteries Authority as well as Anshasne, and I realized the Sufa Youth and Sports Council is on there, so I'm guessing the project is running through them. But it was endorsed by the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
So the facility, what we realize, me being the manager, I've been involved with cricket for a while now, and seeing our cricketers, though they have skill, they are struggling. So what we wanted to do is to give them an opportunity to practice and train. So we looked at it, and with the president of the Cricket Association, Mr. Julian Charles, Miss Emma Hippolyte, the district representative, myself, and the Minister of Sports, we were trying to see where we can actually get a location that we can build a new cricket grounds. But Sufre does not have a lot of crown lands that is suitable for a cricket grounds. That Ruby area, we would have a lot of backfilling, a lot of drainage, it would cost a lot to put a cricket grounds there. That place is also waterlogged. It would be very, very difficult. So in the meantime, what we decided to do, to give the cricketers somewhere to play.
Okay.
Kiefer Prosper started that project about 6 years ago, but when that redevelopment of the Sufre Mini Stadium with the artificial turf came in, they kind of covered up the work that Kiefer and the cricketers had done in that location. So we decided to send a proposal to the Ministry of Youth and Sports to get cricket nets and fielding area done. So there will be 3 cricket nets and a large fielding area to get the cricketers some practice. So it had to be endorsed by the manager of the facility. Since it is happening at the facility, the Ministry of Youth and Sports had to endorse it, and it was handed over to the National Lotteries, who then decided to finance a large chunk of it for the cricketers of Sufre. We also want to say that Anshasni and Jade Mountain came on board, and they are looking to finance quite a bit of it as well. So they are a very big sponsor as well. So we're hoping in the next 2-3 months maximum that we're going to have proper cricket nets and fielding area that cricketers could do bowling, fielding, and batting in, that could get them ready for the next Dream 11 tournament.
Okay, and of course, that is definitely some great news for our cricketers, and I am looking forward to this project coming through. And of course, being one who is in love with the sport, I'm hoping that our cricketers will take advantage of it, and our females as well would be able to get an opportunity to train where we could actually start a female team.
We are hoping we can do that,
because I think it's high time that we have something of that sort. Now, of course, I know we are coming down with time again. However, question: how directly involved is the Sufre Youth and Sports Council involved with this project?
Well, as it is right now, the Super Youth and Sports Club, what we did, we put a small committee together to oversee that project. Although it is running through the manager of the facility and the Super Youth and Sports Council, but the district rep wanted to put a committee together to oversee that project. So as it is right now, there's a small committee, and the Super Youth and Sports Council has 2 members on that committee. They are the only ones with 2 members. The president of the first vice president of the Super Youth and Sports Council, Mr. Kimson William, he has been in the forefront of everything to do with that project. Kiefer Prosper, who idea it was to even start that project a very long time ago, he's on board as well. So the Youth and Sports Council is pretty much involved. Kimson again is the technique. He's a qualified quantity surveyor, so he's the one who's looking at the quality of works and all of these things, so that we execute something that the cricketers can be happy about.
Okay, and thank you for just making that clear. And we have a question in the chat. It is from Tasha Joseph Augustine, and it reads: my question is, when will Sufre get a high jump mat, sir? There is a secondary school in the district, and they should at least be exposed to that sport. Again, my question is, when will Sufre get a high jump mat, sir? There is a secondary school in the district, and they should at least be exposed to that sport.
All right. What I am doing, as not just as the facility manager, but I try to revive every single sport in the Sufre area. As it is right now, I have put up a volleyball net at the beach to encourage people to get involved in beach volleyball. I have gotten a table tennis board there's a table tennis board at the stadium. So I encourage people to come in and learn some table tennis. Come and play some table tennis. It's at the stadium. You could always walk in, or call me if the place is closed. I could always give you access to it, because it is supposed to be a community table tennis board. I was in conversation with the Ministry of Youth and Sports when it came to our track and fields program. We have the tracks now in Sufre, so we might as well take full advantage of it. After many conversations, the Ministry of Youth and Sport has brought down 2 Cuban track and field coaches, who one of them is already in Sufre, and the other one will be coming in very soon. They are already living in Sufre at New Development. One of them is a jumping coach who does long jump and high jump. So one of them does long jump and high jump. So definitely, Tasha, we will be getting a high jump mat very, very soon, since the Cuban coaches, one of them are already here, the other one is scheduled to come in. They will be based in Sufre, so all the jumpers around the island will be coming to Sufre to do whether it's long jump or high jump. So definitely Sufre will be getting a high jump mat very, very soon, because those Cuban coaches are now here.
Okay, thank you for that, and I'm hoping that you answered Tasha's question. And of course, you mentioned the athletics club, and I definitely forgot to touch on that. So quickly, we will just go through it. I know you have been involved with Mr. Francis, that's the name, in order to start off this program. How is that going?
Well, when we started out with registered about 80 something kids with the Super Athletics Club. We had training 5 days, 4 days a week, well, 5 days a week, um, for athletes because we have too much talent, and too often we see the only time we see athletes come out is around sports meet time, which is around February, March. But we wanted to give them an opportunity to train all through the year. We started well, but along the way, a lot of the kids lost focus and they started not showing up as often as they could. We have a Joquan Alexander who is a special talent. At his level, under 17, under 18, there's nobody in St. Lucia who would beat him at a 2 or 400 meters. But we're trying to motivate him to remain focused and come out and train, but they are distracted by so many things. So we are battling to keep the star athletes interested in the sport because there's a lot of other sports that that get their attention. Football, netball, these other sports keep pulling them away from track and fields. But we want to keep the kids involved in track and fields because from track and field you can play every sport, but every other sport doesn't necessarily end up being a track athlete. But a track athlete can play just about any other sport you can think of.
Okay, and another question: how are these athletes selected? Do you guys go through the schools in order to know who these athletes are, or you go about handpicking?
Well, I worked with the district education office for a long time. And even before that, I was myself and Minister Francis George has officiated just about every single sports meet in Soufriere for the past 25 years or so. So we know the athletes, we know who they were, we went to them, we invited them, we got them in. So we would like to see better athletes be produced, especially from the schools. So we did use a lot of those what we saw at the school sports meet to get a lot of those athletes in. But we don't turn away anybody. There's this young boy, I forgot his name. He's a Charles. His mother is a teacher at the Soufriere Infant School. His father is a carpenter. I forgot his name. Oh. When he came to us, I can tell you he must have been our worst athlete. He struggled, but he was always at training. And recently he goes to Fosse Jacques Primary School, and his sports meet was recently. He didn't win any of his races, but he got a couple silver and bronze medals from being somebody who could not run at all and to come out with a couple bronze and silver medals. I mean, I was very, very proud of him because I knew where he started and how he started. So, and the other thing we want to sell, not everybody will be a runner. Athletics is not just about running. There's jumpers, there's throwers, there's people who will go into throw, who will jump. So we just want to get the kids involved and see what talent they have that they never knew they had, that we can work on and get them, because it's very easy to get scholarships now. Very, very easy.
Okay, and thank you for that. And I'm hoping that this work continues, just to develop our athletes. And you spoke of scholarships. I mean, I have my own opinion on these scholarships. I believe a lot of these partial covered scholarships should be fully funded, especially for talented youngsters. However, of course, that's for another show. But we have a question in the chat. He said, I have a question, and it's when we will be getting an indoor facility in Soufriere, knowing it will be costly. However, rain does stop play sometimes.
I can tell you there have been a lot of conversation about an indoor facility. One person I can tell you who wants to push for it every single day and then at every single conversation we have is Kiefer Prosper.
Okay.
He will push for an indoor facility every single time. But again, it is very costly, and to find the area. We looked at the old factory. There's a big building in the factory somewhere in the back that is very, very long. We were looking at that to refurbish it a little bit and put in a court in there that we could have indoor netball and basketball. So we have looked at it. We have had that conversation, and very soon we will see the possibility, because we are definitely looking to, even if it is one court, and make it a multi-purpose, that you can play netball, basketball, volleyball, and even some tennis on there as well. But we're working towards it. We're definitely having the conversations about it. We're working towards having an indoor facility, and Miss Emma Hippolyte, I can tell you, she's all for it. It's just getting the funding that's a little tricky right now. So we are looking at it, and we're definitely trying to work on it.
Okay. And of course, thank you for that response. Somebody stands with the opinion that the athletics program should be a little more structured. Not sure on what end, however. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that you will just take this comment and improve on whatever that is there already.
Well, we again, this is basically myself and Francis George doing all the work.
That's a lot of energy, though.
That's all. That's all it is. The two of us putting in, and it's a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine two people having 80 kids, and there were days when we had as many as 50 children on the field for training.
Yes.
We have tried to have meetings with parents to try and put in an executive together. That a lot of the workload would come off us and let the executive help us. But it has been difficult getting people. People don't volunteer their time like they used to.
Okay.
People are always too busy. In terms of getting it structured, I agree, but sometimes you just have to grab the bull by the horns and go with it and try to do the best as you can. It's only two of us. We're running Fin. We want to get it organized. We want, so if whoever put the comment in the chat, please contact us. Come on board with us. Let's see if we can do a lot better than we have now. What we have now is definitely not gonna work. It's basically two gentlemen just sacrificing their time and giving their time to try and see it happen. But we definitely need the help. That's the most important thing.
Okay. And of course, she also suggested that you try to bring in committees. You mentioned that you tried putting up an executive. However, I'm hoping too that this could come into play. Maybe if you could try to work alongside the council, maybe that too, they would be able to assist in that regard, knowing that there is a sports committee. And of course, as I said, we are running down with time, so I'm hoping that our listeners and our viewers were satisfied with everything discussed today. Of course, in the future, we're hoping to have a little more conversation with you as you progress with whatever is on the ground for now. Definitely looking forward to the cricket project being done. We're hoping that everything goes well with this project. And we're also hoping that maybe something would be done with the Rubies area, although I know the situation, how it is. We're hoping that maybe some brilliant minds will come together to try and make something happen. However, again, Mr. Senja, I want to thank you for joining us on New Voices today. And any final words to the listeners?
The running of the facility is not just the Ministry of Youth and Sports to do. It takes a community to run those facilities. The community have to want to see the facilities do well, because at the end of the day, it is the community's facility. We have to cut out the vandalism. We see fences being damaged, cut, all kind of things happening at those facilities. Parents, please, please do a better job in parenting your kids. Too often these kids come to the field, and let me tell you, we were very tempted in conversation with the director of sports and the PS in putting a no children under a certain age without parental supervision. We were thinking of putting that in, and it's not off the table, but we are definitely looking at it, because I'm saying to you that on a daily basis there's fights at the mini stadium daily, and it's not the older guys, it's the younger kids, 10, 9. Yesterday there was 2 fights, one of them 2 15, 16-year-old boys. So it's the younger kids that are the ones causing all the trouble. Security called me, told me kids were sending stones on top of the stadium. What day was that? When he tried to chase them down, they ran away, send more stones at the building, at the glass. So we're just asking people to please, let's take some pride in what's ours. The facilities, all of them belongs to the community, and it would take the entire community to see it running and being managed properly.
Okay. And again, thank you for your final words to our listeners. And so, to our listeners and our viewers online, of course, Mr. Senja is just mentioning, again, some of his kind words, and is reminding us as a community to let's appreciate what we have. Parents, he's also urging you to take control of your parenting, and so ensure that your child is aware as to how to treat these facilities or take care of these facilities when they go to use them.
And other users as well.
Yes, and other users as well, even the older ones, of course. The little things you could do when you go to the facility, ensure that you flush the toilet, which is a huge problem. However, I'm hoping that we would improve on that. And so we have come to the end of our show for today. Thank you again, Mr. Thenja, for joining me in studio. I am your host, Mr. EDISA Eugene, and see you next week. And thank you for tuning in to Your Voices today.
Welcome to Youth Voices with your host, Miss EDISA Eugene, where we focus on youth advocacy, youth empowerment in academics, entrepreneurship, sports, marginalized youth, and more. Tune in every Thursday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Youth Month 2022. Devant ensemble et toute jeunesse. Evolve. Growing youth for an inclusive and transformed society. Are you ready?
When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like